Hello and welcome to A View for You, a twice-monthly journal about people and events of interest in the San Francisco Bay Area. My name is Peter Camarda, I'm your host, and we're broadcasting to you on the San Francisco Public Access Channel, Comcast Channel 76, AT&T Channel 99, and Astound Channel 30. Today I have two guests who have both done work with the terminally ill, Ray Dyer and Bill Chiles. Welcome to the show. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what it means to work with the terminally ill, what kind of experience that is, and what some of the rewards are. And I guess I will start by asking each of you to tell us a little bit about how you got into that line of work. So how about you first, Bill? How did you come to work for the hospice?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to talk about this experience, Peter. I came to work with the Zen Hospice project through Buddhist practice, and Buddhism and care for the dying or end-of-life care tend to go hand in hand, because the primary purpose of that practice is to end suffering and to study non-attachment, and properly our greatest attachment is to our own bodies.
And you, Ray, how did you come to work with terminally ill people?
I got started in this work during the AIDS epidemic in San Francisco in the mid-'80s. The hospice started a program of massage therapists working with people who had HIV, and it was done at their homes or in the shanty homes or in the hospitals.
When you first started, how did you feel about working with the terminally ill? Were you afraid at all, Bill?
I was terrified by the process, and I was drawn to it because a very dear friend talked about the hospice ward at Laguna Honda, and that's where his partner of many years spent the last 6 years of his life, bedridden and left mute by a stroke. And Stephen was he was so delighted with the quality of care and the community at the hospice. He told me, "You must check this out. They have happy hour every other week," because the whole point is that even though people in this ward are dying, they're still living while they're there. Life does go on. And so the doctor that runs the hospice ward or directs it, he has this party every other week. There's food, there's celebration, there are visitors and families, and that's where people that are interested in volunteering can experience just the sense and the ambience of the ward, and meet the population and the volunteers and the director.
So that helped you kind of relax into it or feel more comfortable?
Yeah, I think in part because I saw other people were very relaxed and very comfortable, and I met volunteers and staff who've been working with the dying for many, many years, and still were showing up to do it and seemed to be having a great deal of fun in the process.
That's good. How about you, Ray? Were you finding it awkward at the start or frightening at all?
Absolutely. I had no experience with people dying or even, serious illness before I started this work. And because it was a very still relatively unknown illness, there was still these questions about, how safe was it to touch people? And there were hospital staff who wore masks and gowns and gloves to actually work with these patients. So it definitely was fear was definitely in there for me. Yeah.
So having faced that fear at the beginning, what was it about the experience that kept you coming back, Ray?
I think it was just the reality that people I knew were having symptoms of this illness and were actually dying, and it was like, so close. I just felt like, this could be me. So I said, I have to do something. And I had been taking massage classes, and I was very comfortable giving massages to people, and I thought this is a good way for me to relate to these people who are, bedridden often, or in pain, or uncomfortable physically. So working with people in the hospital, I just came to see that if I could just give them a moment of peace and relaxation, or get their mind off of whatever anxiety was happening for them at the moment, whether it was medications or fear of dying, that it was really, a gift that was very easy for me to give. And I really received a lot of benefit and confirmation, and I was getting as much as I was giving.
And you, Bill, did you feel also that kind of sense of getting something was bringing you back, or what kept you going to the hospice service?
I think a sense of community, and there's a great sense of reward to it. The Zen Hospice Project trains volunteers to serve right now at Laguna Honda's C2 ward, which is a 26-bed facility. You are encouraged to look upon your work there as serving. We don't help residents, we serve them. And that can be in a variety of often mundane ways, but sometimes it is by providing warm, healing touch when their limbs ache, or they feel quite frightened when they come into the ward. Sometimes people in the process of active dying become terminally restless. They want to get up out of bed even though they can't walk. And sitting with them and being a calm presence and holding their hand, or sometimes gently stroking their forearm or their forehead, can have a very soothing, relaxing effect. And it's relaxing for you as it is for the resident. Other times the serving is in the form of running to the store to get cigarettes, because the most socially active residents of that ward, they're smokers. End of life, who cares? They may have COPD, but they still like to smoke, and that's their way of mingling and interacting. We prepare special meals for them because the hospital food's bland and pretty boring, so we cook, make ice cream, cakes, cookies for them, just things to give them a sense that they're living in a home-like environment. And sometimes you can do that by cooking, by recreating smells of the kitchen, by massaging their feet, by running errands for them, sometimes by taking people out on an outing. We might take them through Golden Gate Park or down to the beach, if they can get around in a wheelchair, for example. Those of us that have a car might take them out for a ride, or out for a favorite meal. Sometimes if they're able to sit and take notice of a movie for a couple of hours, we'll take them to a film.
What are some of the most important things you learned from the experience of working with terminally ill clients, Ray?
Wow. I found that it was just being present with someone that is really doing a service. Before that, I had sort of heard the concept, but I didn't really believe it or understand it or get it. That just sitting with someone or holding their hand or just listening to them talk was being of service. And I really got to feel that when I actually got to work with these patients. It's a one-on-one relationship, so you really can tune into the individual and get a sense of where they're coming from, what their concerns are, what their preferences are, and
so you really get to know them pretty intimately.
You do get to know them pretty intimately, and often pretty quickly. Yeah.
There's really not much opportunity, I guess, to conceal what's going on in that kind of situation.
Well, it's not a priority for them to conceal what's going on, because it's right up there in their face, and they don't have time to play games, so to speak.
So did you find that kind of honesty sort of brutal and harsh, or was it comforting, or how did it feel to be with people who were so vulnerable in that way, so exposed?
I felt very privileged. I mean, that someone would be so honest and straightforward with me, and it was a great lesson for me that, I could be more honest and open in my life with people than I am. And this was a wonderful, concrete example of that, happening. And I realized how, good it made me feel to be with somebody who was, honest, and I thought, well, that's something for me to, think about practicing in my own life. Even though I'm not sick physically, it's still pertinent and important, a way to relate to people.
And you, Bill?